are, we want to try to contribute to your golfer's back pain Facebook group. I'm going to break it down like this. First, we have our juniors, 4 to 8 to 10-year-olds. What we have to watch for in this group, growth plate fractures, what's known as late Perthes disease. If you have any juniors that are practicing a lot, look for lead hip pain or impingement or swelling, and it could be the sign of that growth plate injury. That's very significant, has to be picked up right away. That can actually be a medical emergency. Next group, adolescents, juniors, 12 to 17, same thing. Growth plate injury is what you have to be aware of. That's a PARS defect. That's when PARS is not a good thing. That's a stress fracture that can lead to some devastating consequences and can be career-threatening, can end anybody's ability to get to college and play at a higher level. What happens there is parents are told sometimes, yeah, it's just back pain from playing tennis or golf. No, any pain that's consistent or persistent with an adolescent needs to be investigated, and you need to rule out the potential stress fracture. MRIs sometimes don't show them. You might have to use a CT scan. Let's move to the next group, our recreational golfer. What is the big issue there? Usually, ergonomics. You take your problems to the golf course, you're more likely to hurt yourself putting your clubs in the trunk or putting a tee in the ground than swinging a golf club. But the problem is we have a default pattern, and when we sit, that default pattern becomes biased one way or the other. It's not conducive to having fluidity and what we need for a golf swing. So what do they need? They need screening, they need assessment, they need training. Let's get to our senior golfers. What happens to them? Their backs are starting to degenerate. It's tough for them to play 2 or 3 days in a row. So the key factor with seniors, recovery. Teach them how to unwind and take away the stress that builds from the dynamics of the golf swing. I know in your group you're trying to establish safer techniques and safer methodology, but when you get into elite players, let's face it, what Bryson DeChambeau is doing is amazing. We've got nutritional components to that program. We have very specific training. Maintaining mobility and building mass and power at the same time is tough to do. Plus, with his coaching, he's been able to change his swing pattern. That's not easy to do. So I caution any amateurs, recreational golfers who are trying to emulate that. Just the metabolic consequences alone of trying to put on mass, you could create some issues. It's not easy to put on mass and not have detrimental effects to increased protein intake, for example, can be a problem. So don't think you can just start assuming that you can build and create that type of a program. So when we get down to the real issues here, golf in and of itself is a stressful movement. And what I like to teach is that you have to recover from that by doing reverse patterns. I teach a lot of my developing players to learn how to play left-handed with a 7-iron. And it's the same thing that you're going to do in the gym when you're doing repetitive movements. You have to have some type of counterbalance to the ongoing dynamics of a golf swing. So I hope that helps a little bit. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks for asking me.